Hello and welcome to episode 17 of the Blue Water Running Podcast. Episode 17 times 2, 17 squared, 17.5. Today's episode is a bit different from the regular format on the Blue Water Running Podcast. The eagerly anticipated Region 17 preview from Michigan Cross Country Speed Ratings came out this week, and it has St. Clair and Yale once again at the forefront of the regional projections. This is a local matchup that never fails to disappoint, and it features some of the Blue Water area's fastest runners each year. Both programs have a long tradition of excellence in building talent. In fact, St. Clair holds the D2 state record for the longest continuous streak of qualifiers, taking a team to the state finals every year since 2000. Yale has done the same for the better part of the last decade. In a close race, Yale came out on top 37-46 at last year's 2023 D2 regional meet. The Bulldogs went 2, 3, 4, 11, and 17 for their top 5, with a team spread of 151, while the Saints went 5, 7, 9, 10, and 15 with a team spread of 101. Yale graduated their top 3 runners, St. Clair their top 1 and 4. As you can see, it's shaping up to be another great rivalry. We will be chatting with Jerry Westrick and Ethan Kreger of St. Clair, and also Ted Rutkofske and Wyatt Murtos of Yale. St. Clair's Westrick is a senior, and Kreger is a sophomore, and they both were in the top 10 last year at regionals, returning as favorites in the area. Rutkofske was 11th, and Murtos was 17th, and both are seniors this year. To make this even more interesting, in the Speed Ratings regional projections, Kreger is rated 1st, Murtos 4th, Westrick 5th, and Rutkofske 6th. And all were within 25 places of each other at the state meet at MIS last fall. With the St. Clair guys in the first half of the pod episode and the Yale guys in the second half, we'll get to chat with all 4 gentlemen about their team training, respective league competitions, goals, and expectations for the season, and the inevitable St. Clair versus Yale showdown. Welcome, Jerry and Ethan, to the Blue Water Running Podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm excited to talk to you about how your summer's going, what training's looking like, what goals you have. So let's start with question 1, and that is, how has your training been going so far this summer? What kind of workouts has your team been focusing on, or you particularly individually?
Our training's been going pretty good. Nothing bad has happened. So far it's been pretty normal. We're hitting the workouts well. Our team's a little smaller this year, which is a little different, but we're working with it. And Paul has pretty much been setting up our training for us pretty well, along with Ethan's dad. And our workouts, we've been doing a lot of grouped up things. So just like we call them pack attack runs, where we'll just like switch the order of who's leading. We'll run in a line, and the person at the back will move to the front every so often. We've been doing those, and just lots of group long runs.
Are there any specific goals that you would like to accomplish? So let's start with the 2 of you individually. You can each talk about what goals you have set for yourselves. I'm sure you have some. And then as a team, what you're hoping to accomplish together.
I guess I'll start with this one. Individually, I want to win at least one race this season. I definitely, a big goal of mine is the medal at Portage. That's a really big one. And then score a few amount of points as I can individually at regionals.
I'm looking at pretty much the same thing. We kind of train together mostly. So winning a race would be nice. Medaling at Portage, all conference too. MAC Red is a pretty competitive conference. And then just like Ethan said, score as little points as possible at regionals, so it makes it a little easier for our team to perform there.
So what place do you have to take at Portage to medal?
It's top 50, I believe.
I think it's top 50, I want to say.
Okay. Yes, and that's a very fast race, so it's a big goal.
Yeah. For team goals, I know we want to be competitive at the big races. So like at Lamplighter this year, we got into the fast heat. Like Northville's in there, Canton's in there. Some like big name schools are in there, and we obviously want to be competitive in the MAC Red. It's fast. It's a big big D1 schools, but we should be competitive in it. We've had in the past couple of years, and we want to win a regional title.
That's always the goal. I know another team that might be saying the same thing. You can probably guess who it is, right?
Yeah.
Yale.
Mm-hmm. Well, talk to me about your league and conference. I think you guys are the only D2 school in the MAC. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
It's some big schools in the MAC Red. There's only 8 schools. The ones just off the top of my head, we have Utica, Romeo, Dakota, Fraser. That's another one. So lots of competition. I think those meets, we only have one jamboree and then one championship meet. Those are going to be fun because it's going to be really competitive. So hopefully we can get some fast times, some PRs out of those races. So that's what we're looking for there.
Yep.
All right. What do you think are the most important elements for you to be successful? For example, training, nutrition, sleep, any combination of those things. What works for you that helps you doing what you do and keeps you on the right track?
For me personally, it was always like when I get good sleep, I run good. So I take magnesium every night. It helps with sleep. Like I've always had good sleep, but if I can help get better sleep, why not? And I've been focusing on a lot of like the little things, like outside of my training, like the weight training, nutrition, just making sure I'm stretching too. It's just all a big part of it.
So for me, I think nutrition is obviously a big factor. I try to eat as little processed foods as possible. Most of the things I eat are just meat and fruit. Those are my favorite things to eat. And then a really big thing for me is just focusing on things outside of running. I like to take my mind off of running outside of practice. I think that's pretty important because it's really easy to let it kind of interfere with other parts of your life. And I think that can be really harmful because then I think it's just really puts a lot of stress on you. And then another thing is I just like cross training too. I do a lot of biking, do some long rides around town, big into that, and just strength training a little as well.
I think that's a good perspective because running should be part of your life, but it shouldn't be your whole life. If that's what consumes everything you do, you're right. It can get very stressful and overwhelming. All right. What is something that your coach focuses on or emphasizes to your team?
Well, the biggest thing that I would say that that Coach Paul tells us to do is to stick together on runs. He really puts a big emphasis on running in a group, whether that's in like a workout or a long run, especially. Just stay together because it just makes it a lot easier. And I feel like we do a really good job at that. And that's what really helps us be good and be consistent, especially.
Yeah, we've had like the we over me saying for a couple of years, but like cross country is a team sport, it's not an individual sport. You can't win a regional title with a person or 2 people. You got to have 7 good guys. And that's kind of what he puts on us.
That's good. I like that. Well, that kind of helps us segue into the next question, which is we have very supportive athletes in our area, and we have athletes with great sportsmanship, camaraderie. A lot of the cross country runners in the Blue Water area, share each other's Instagram posts and congratulate each other on their accomplishments. And so it's a really good feeling when you see that. While we know it's always a goal to win, and that's a huge component of racing, that's why you train to be better. What do you think is one of the most fun or positive parts of the quote Yale versus St. Clair rivalry?
I would say it's getting to see them at like the bigger meets, because we race them at all these small meets to where it's like it gets really competitive. But then we go to races like Portage, States, like the bigger races, and we get to know these people and we actually get to talk to them without having to worry about like, oh, that's who we're competing. That's who like hits first or second here. It's more of a like friends type thing instead of a rivalry.
Yeah, I would say I really like that we get to see those guys outside of just regionals or where we're like competing. Mainly, we talk to those guys a lot, hang out with them. Especially like outside of cross country and track season where we're not really competing as much. We get to just talk to each other a lot at the meets and hang out. So that's cool.
Do you feel like that drives you to be a little bit more competitive? Does it give you a little edge when you know it's the two teams?
Yeah, I think it really does. Because we know those guys personally, and so it's cool to know we're competing with them.
Yeah.
Well, what is the best thing about cross country? Let's say that you're trying to sell the sport to someone who doesn't run. You want them to try it. What would you tell them?
I would say the supportiveness of everyone that does it, and like even like when we're just running through town, there's always people telling us good job. There's always people honking at us. There's a couple people we know because they're always on their porch, and they're just always. It's just how happy they are to see us. And then at meets too, like all the parents, all the other kids we know, everyone's just super supportive.
Yeah, the people we see around the sport are just great. And a lot of people just want to talk about it, like adults, and they're really supportive about it. So that's really nice to hear. It's really affirming.
Yeah, I don't know that there's quite an atmosphere like cross country anywhere else in sports that I found anyway. So it's a pretty cool place to be. All right, well, let's get to some favorites. I'm going to ask you a question you can both answer, and then we'll go to the next one. So the first one is, what is your favorite cross country race or
Okay,
meet?
so for me, it's the mid-season spectacular at Goodall's. We didn't have it last year, but it's my favorite race of all time. I love the course. It's really familiar because we used to do a ton of workouts on that course, just like 1,000 repeats on the grass and things like that, ladder workouts. And it's also a great course for spectating, I think. There's lots of good spots to watch. And I love watching the other races after or before my race. So that's really cool. And like the finishing section, the chute is really cool and really long there. It's really open. And I think it's just a fast course as well.
I'd have to say Portage is my favorite race. It's so competitive. You're never in no man's land. Like it's just there's so many people there too. Everything about the race is just sweet. Like I actually got tripped there last year at like 2.5 because it was so jammed in. Like I've never been in a race like that, and it was an extremely cool experience.
I have not been to watch it, but that's on my list to get there and see it because it looks pretty amazing. All right, your favorite workout. So it could be an actual workout you do or your favorite place to do a workout to train.
Okay, so for my favorite workout, it's anything where we're running 200s because we do fast 200s at goal 800 pace for some workouts, more in the spring than in the fall and summer. But then also we do a lot of 200s at our goal 5K pace, which I really enjoy with like short rests and it's just like a ton of them back to back to back, not much rest. And so I think those are really a big confidence booster.
So my favorite workout is kind of with him. I really like 200s and 400s at like goal 5K pace. So I know every single time at the start of the cross country season, we always do 10 times 4. And I mean, it hurts, but it's an awesome workout. Just like getting that pacing down just over and over. It's one of my favorites.
All right, what's your favorite post workout or post race food? What would you eat when you're done running?
So if I could choose anything to eat after a race, it would be going to Popeyes probably. I really like the chicken there, and the biscuits are really good. I really enjoy those. I normally get a few of them, maybe like 4 or 5 of them.
My favorite probably post race food would have to be pizza. I remember after regionals last year, I don't know if Jerry was there, but I know me and Dylan we were running our cool down while eating some pizza because we were just absolutely starving. And I've
So,
always gotten pizza after
so,
races.
so what would be your favorite pizza? Like what is it? Little Caesars, Domino's, Pizza Hut? Like what is it?
Um, Honestly, any type of like deep dish.
Okay. All right. Do you have a favorite running movie or a favorite running band song? Or you can talk about both if you have two that you'd like to mention.
Yeah, so for me, the movie's pretty basic. I like McFarland. I think everyone likes McFarland. Really inspirational. And then for workout music, I kind of listen to everything, and I listen to pretty similar stuff for working out too. Some of my favorite artists to listen to, though, just to name a few, would be Coldplay, Chief Keef, Jack Johnson, Tame Impala, and Kid Cudi.
When it comes to my favorites, my favorite movie would be McFarlane too. I actually the first time I ever watched it was at camp last year with Jerry. Um, but for music, I don't like if I'm running, I don't really listen to music. But if I do, it's usually like Chase Atlantic, The Neighborhood. Maybe I'll throw some like Travis Scott in there and some Kid Cudi, but it's not like I don't listen to a lot of music.
So this is not a scripted question, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Do you have a favorite professional athlete that you follow in the running world?
Ethan, you go for a while, I think.
I got Hobbs Kessler. I've been following him since he was in high school. He raced against my brother one time, and I just remember how fast he was. And now I watched him train all the way to the Olympics, and it's sweet to watch.
I'm not really sure. There's a lot of them. Uh, I like a lot of the 800 guys. Marco Arope is a fun one to watch from Canada. I really like him. I feel like he doesn't get as much attention as some of the 1500 guys, but he is a really good 800 runner, really strong. I like watching him.
All right, I'm going to ask you to call it Josh Kerr or Jakob Ingebrigtsen.
For me, it's Ingebrigtsen.
All right, we'll see what happens. A couple days away. All right, guys, one last thing for you, and that is if you could go running anywhere in the world, where would it be?
So I think me and Jerry actually talked about this one on the run this morning.
Yeah, we got the same answer for this one.
We both said it would be our cool down after regionals at Columbus County Park after we know we won a regional title and we're just waiting for the trophy to come to us.
Yeah, waiting for that wooden mitten.
That is a good feeling. Well, we'll see what happens this year, right?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, guys, it has been great to chat with you. I really appreciate you taking time out of your morning. I don't know if you got up early or not, but hey, if you did, thanks. And we'll see how the season goes, and I look forward to seeing what you do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You're welcome. All right. Well, welcome to episode 17 of the Blue Water Running Podcast, Ted and Wyatt.
Thank you for having us today.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Perfect. Are you guys outside?
We are. Well, there's a festival going on near us, and we kind of picked the wrong day to do this.
Yeah,
but
the parade's going by right now.
I was going to say, are you at the Bologna Festival?
we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it just adds a little spice to our podcast. So, something new. Little sound effects in the background won't hurt anybody. All right. Let's start with our first question. How has your training been going so far this summer? And what kind of workouts have you guys or your team been focusing on?
So this summer we've been really focusing on more mileage, and I believe we've really been stickling on picking up our paces. So in the past years we would focus on between 8:30 and to 9-minute paces per mile, and this year me and Wyatt have been focusing on between 7:20 and 8 flat minute miles to help us feel much faster when we do workouts and on race day.
Are there any specific goals that you would like to accomplish? So you can talk about your individual goals for each of you. I'm sure you've got some in mind, and then anything that your team is hoping to achieve together.
Well, for me personally, I would like to try to be in the low 16s or high 15s for individual, like PR wise.
I would like to be sub 16 at the end of the year, and then I want to be able to be sub 17 for each race of the season this year, including Mike Jackson.
What is your team thinking about altogether? What's one of the things you guys talked about as a team?
I think our main team goal is to win regionals and or win the regional title this year and maintain our number one spot in our BWAC.
There's another team who is also thinking about winning the regional. Can you guess who?
St. Clair.
It might be St. Clair.
Good guess. Well, let's talk about the BWAC. Who or what do you think will present the biggest challenge to you as a team or as an individual?
For as a team, maybe Emily City. I know they have a good running group going on. They have a good upcoming freshman coming in. And our buddy Isaac Sommer, he used to play tennis, but he did his track, but he's coming to cross country this year. So I think he'll be pretty good. And then for individual, I would say Julian Walker. He's a really good runner, great to run against, and he always has a positive attitude. So it'll be fun.
Well, as you guys are training throughout the summer and racing and then going through the season, what do you find are the most important elements for you to be successful? So here's some examples. Training, sleep, nutrition, anything that you focus on or that you find is a really important aspect for you.
I think you need to find a balance of all three of them. You can't really run well with just one of them. You need to kind of like balance all three of them to run at your best performance.
I totally agree with that. And I feel like the biggest thing is running consistently every single day and taking that rest day and making sure you go easy and making sure you eat the right food and get enough sleep that exact same day.
What is something your coach has been focusing on or emphasizes to your team?
I would say he emphasizes focusing more on our mileage and nutrition. He wants us to make sure that we're eating right and drinking enough water so we aren't like burning out in practice or anything like that.
Giving our 100%.
Well, we have pretty supportive athletes in our area. In the Blue Water area, we have a lot of runners who exemplify good sportsmanship, camaraderie. You see a lot of cross-country runners sharing each other's posts and congratulating, each other's accomplishments. So we know that it is always a goal to win or to beat someone. That's a big component of racing. But what do you think is one of the most fun or positive parts about the Yale versus St. Clair quote rivalry and what it brings to the sport?
So the past years, we weren't very close with St. Clair, and about last year, we've became very fond of them, like Jerry Westrick, Corbin Thornton, Braden Prescorn. We've become pretty good friends with them. But when regional week comes up, we become very focused, and it's just very competitive, and it pushes us to our limits at that race, and it's something to look forward to in the season.
Yeah, I agree with you, Teddy. I think those are pretty good points.
Do you feel that the comparison between the two teams gives you a little extra motivation or a little drive to be a little bit more competitive?
Yeah, I would say it does. I mean, whenever I'm talking to Teddy before meet, I'm always pumped up to try to beat him. And when you bring in more people to that, I also just want to strive to be ahead of them as well and just do my best.
So, what is the best thing about cross country? Sell it to somebody who has never done the sport, they don't run, and maybe they want to find out what it's all about. What would you say?
I would say at first it's gonna be tough when you're running with a team, upcoming freshman. You don't really know anyone, but throughout your freshman year, your sophomore year, you become best friends with these people, and you always hang out with them throughout the year because you're running cross country, maybe running indoor track with them, even outdoor track, and it's just something you become a family together. So it's something inspirational and life living.
It keeps you in great shape as well. So if you ever want to do a sport that doesn't require much besides running, which every sport does, then cross country is really easy to pick up and it's fun.
And you don't need a lot of equipment.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to a few of your favorites. So, Todd, you can answer first. Wyatt, you can answer second. First one, favorite cross country race or meet?
I'd say my favorite cross country the place to race is probably Goodall's, Michigan. It's a pretty flat course, but it's always a fun place to go to and run.
I think my favorite course to race at is Harbor Beach. I think it's just really fast times that you can get there, and that last like 400 stretch just makes you speed up so much, and you just feel like you're flying through that entire course.
All right, favorite workout. So, this can be a workout you like to do, or it can be a place you like to train.
For me, I like doing progression runs. It really pushes yourself to the limits, especially on the last fast mile. And then a place I like running is the roads around my house because there's lots of shade, lots of hills, and I just like running by myself sometimes.
I would say my favorite workout is mile repeats. You can get a lot of work in through those, and you'll feel tired at the end of it, but it'll definitely be worth it to run the repeats. And I'd say I don't have a favorite place to run. I think I just go out there and run.
Okay, favorite post workout or post race food?
I'd say probably Mexican food is my way. It just tastes really good, and I just like eating it.
I don't have a favorite food, but I do have a favorite drink, and that would be Mountain Dew. It just fuels me right up, and I can go back to doing my daily activities without being too tired.
Well, I have to say that's a first. I've never heard anyone say that. So, all right. Okay. Favorite running movie or favorite workout music or both? You could tell me both.
My favorite movie is probably running movie is McFarland USA. It's really the only running movie I know, but it's really inspirational. And if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. And then favorite music to listen to is the one and only Kanye West, best rapper out there, and he's just a good person to listen to.
I would also probably have to say that my favorite running movie is McFarland USA. It's about this small team that just works their way up to states, and it's just a really good movie all around. And then I'd have to say my favorite music to listen to is a specific song would be like "I Like You, I Do" by Post Malone featuring Doja Cat.
Okay, so this was not in the script that I gave you, but do you, either of you, have a favorite professional athlete that you like to follow in the running world?
I like to follow Morgan Beetlescombe because we actually got to go to summer training with him one summer, and he really showed us what true running is. And we also like to follow Lucas Creech.
Yeah, I would probably have to say that Morgan Beetlescombe is the one that I follow the most. I met him the same year that Teddy did, and it kind of just made me want to become a Michigan State runner.
Well, I'm hoping to get him on the podcast one day, so that would be really cool if we could. All right, so how about this question since Olympics are now beginning? Josh Kerr or Jakob Ingebrigtsen?
Josh Kerr all the way.
I think Josh Kerr.
All
Better yet,
right.
I'd say Quincy Wilson.
Yeah, he's fun to watch too, especially since he's so young.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to ask you one last question. And this one, you might need a moment to think about it. And that is, if you could go running anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Running with a team would probably be mine. Like, of all the runners I've ran with, probably like throughout the years from like my freshman year up to my senior year, like everyone I've ever ran with all come back together and run together.
Yeah, I think that would be a really good moment to see how far everyone has come from their high school days.
All right, guys. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you get to enjoy the rest of the festival, and I can't wait to see what happens this season. It's going to be exciting and lots more to come, right?
Yep.
Special thanks to all 4 gentlemen for joining me today and being willing to participate in our 2-for-1 special. Once again, thank you so much for tuning into the Blue Water Running Podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share, subscribe, and leave us a review. You can find the Blue Water Running Podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and other major media players. You can also ask your smart speaker to play the Blue Water Running Podcast. If you have an idea for a great topic or guest you'd like to hear about, feel free to contact me through the website links or the show notes. You can follow Blue Water Running on Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also find meet and athlete reports and articles at www.bluewaterrunning.org. Thanks so much, and I can't wait to feature more cross-country and track and field athletes from the Blue Water area, so stay tuned because it just might be you.